Hello everybody. In this class we are going to deal with one more important concept in the theory of consumer behavior. Okay, let me give a short description about the information what we discussed in the previous class. In the previous class we discussed about law of diminishing marginal utility. What is that? Law of diminishing marginal utility we discussed. So now let us find out. Let me give a small information about the relation between total utility and a marginal utility. So now here, this is a diagram representing total utility curve as well as marginal utility. Total utility curve and marginal. This is total utility, this one is marginal utility. So what is the first one here? We have to say that total utility increases, total utility increases and marginal utility decreases. Just find out here. When total utility will be increasing, marginal utility will be decreasing. Marginal utility decrease. Now the second one. Total utility reaches to maximum. Total utility reaches to maximum, marginal utility equal to 0. Marginal utility equal to 0. So here, whenever total utility will be reaches maximum, we can say that marginal utility will be the 0. So total utility will be maximum, marginal utility will be decreases or it will be a 0. And finally, total utility decreases, marginal utility. What will happen to marginal utility? When total utility will be decreasing, marginal utility becomes a negative. Marginal utility is negative. So this is the relation we studied in the theory, law of diminishing marginal utility. So now identify the diagram again. Look at the curve total utility. Total utility will be increasing, right? When total utility will be increasing, marginal utility will be decreasing. Now second one, total utility will be reaches to maximum. It is maximum utility, total utility. What happened to the marginal utility? Marginal utility becomes a 0. And finally, total utility will be decreasing here. Total utility will be decreasing. What happens to the marginal utility? Marginal utility becomes a negative. So this is a relation between total utility and marginal utility that we are studied in the theory, law of diminishing marginal utility. Remember one thing, always marginal utility is derived from total utility. So now marginal utility equal to change in total utility by change in consumption. The rate of change in total utility by the rate of change in consumption, that is known as marginal utility. Change in total utility by rate of change in consumption, that is known as marginal utility. This is the concept we studied in law of diminishing marginal utility. Okay, let us move on to the next topic that is related to law of diminishing marginal utility. What is the theory here? Law of diminishing marginal utility. So now, how demand curve is derived? Derivation of Derivation of demand curve. Derivation of demand curve in case of single commodity. Single commodity, if I am saying, means it is nothing but law of diminishing marginal utility. This is the concept what we are going to deal now. Derivation of demand curve in case of single commodity. In case of single commodity, how the demand curve is derived? How the demand curve is derived in case of single commodity? First of all, let us know what is demand. What is demand? What is demand? The demand is nothing but the quantity of commodities. The quantity of commodities that consumer. The quantity of commodities that consumer willing to pay, willing to buy. The quantity of commodities that consumer is willing to buy at different price levels. Different price levels. I hope you are clear with this definition. The quantity of commodities that consumer is willing to buy at different price levels, that is known as demand. What is that? Demand. Example. When price of a product is 40, price of a product is 40 and quantity will be 5 products. Quantity is 5 products. Means here the quantity of commodities. How many quantities of the commodities here? 5. That consumer willing to pay at different price levels. What is the price here? 40. In case price will be decreased to 30. Price is decreased to 30. Quantity will be 6. Means at different price levels, the quantity of commodities that consumer is willing to buy, that is known as demand. Here at a price 40, the demand is 5. At a price 30, the demand will be 6. Now, I hope you are very clear, right? The quantity of commodities that consumer is willing to buy at different price levels. Different price levels means here you can consider at 40 how much he purchased and at 30 how much he purchased. That is all about demand. I hope you are very clear. The quantity of commodities that consumer willing to buy at a different price levels, that is known as demand. What is that? Demand. So in order to derive the demand curve, in this theory we are using cardinal utility approach. Cardinal utility analysis. Cardinal utility analysis we are using to derive demand curve here. So now I just now I gave information about the definition of a demand, right? So now let us find out what are the major factors influencing the demand of a particular product. So now factors influencing demand. Factors influencing demand. Here demand is a function of price of a product, price of a related product, taste of a consumer, income of a consumer and other factors. This is a function you must remember. Here demand is a function of P means here price. Price of product. Price of product. PR price of related product, price of related product. Here T will be indicating taste of consumer, taste of consumer. Y will be indicating income of a consumer, and O will be indicating along with some other factors. So these are the major factors influencing the demand of a product. So these are the major factors influencing the demand of a one particular product. Price of a product, price of a related product, taste of the consumer, income of the consumer, and other factors. Okay, let us find out how these factors influencing demand. First, you can consider price. Always there is a inverse relationship in between price of a product and demand of a product. There is a inverse relationship in between price of a product and demand of a product. How? See, when price increases, what happens to demand? Demand is decreases. When price will be increases, the demand of the product will be decreased. Correct or not? Example, you just look into market about one product. You want to purchase 1 kilo of onions, right? Here you can compare the price of a product and demand. Generally, the price of 1 kilo onions is 100 rupees. At that time, you are only able to purchase 1 kilo of onions. If in case, similarly, the price of 1 kilo onions will be decreased to 20 rupees. At that time, you are able to purchase 5 kilo of onions. So what you are observing here? When price will be increases, the demand will be decreases. When price is increases, demand will be decreases. So now here the first factor will be price. When price is increases, demand will be decreases. You must remember that key point. Always there is a negative or inverse relationship in between price of the product and demand of the product. Now the second factor, price of related products. Price of related products. So how the price of other product will influence the demand of one product? Here there are two products. One is complementary. Second one is substitute. Complementary product and substitute product. Whenever you are considering the price of related products, means every product will be having two types of other products. One is complementary products, the second one is substitute product. You may get one doubt, right? What is complementary? Here, best example I will give. Complementary product means you can take bike and petrol. Bike and petrol are the complementary products. See, just you can assume, without petrol can you ride a bike? No, that is impossible. So now you purchased a bike, means compulsory you should fill that bike with petrol. Then only you are able to drive. Correct or not? That is complementary. Means one product you can utilize by using other product only. That is complementary. Substitute, alternative product. Example, best example for substitute is tea and coffee. I hope you are very clear, right? Complementary product bike and petrol, substitute product tea and coffee. So now let us find out how this will be influenced. First of all, you can take bike and petrol. Here if the price of petrol increases means the price of petrol increases, the demand for bike decreases. Demand for bike decreases. This is in case of complementary. This is in case of complementary products. Price of petrol increases, demand for bike will be decreases. See, this theory also depending upon some assumptions. So you may think that I won't consider about petrol price, I'll purchase bike. That is your wish. But as per some assumptions, whenever the price of a petrol will be increases, demand for bikes will be decreases. That is in case of complementary product. Now, in case of substitute, when price of tea, the price of tea increases, demand for coffee increases. I hope you are very clear, right? When the price of tea increases, demand for coffee will be increases. Simple. You are habituated to drink both tea and coffee, but immediately what happened, the price of tea will be increases. At that time, you are preferred to consume coffee. Means what happens here? Whenever the price of tea will be increasing, demand for tea will be decreases. In the same manner, demand for coffee will be increases. It is in case of what kind of product? Substitute product. So, in this manner, the price of other products will be influenced that demand of one product. Remember again, complementary product, substitute product. Complementary product, best example bike and petrol, and substitute product, best example tea and coffee. So now here, in case of complementary, there is a inverse relationship. Price of petrol will be increases means demand for bike will be decreases. Inverse relationship. Remember, in case of complementary products, the relationship in between demand and price is inverse, indirect, negative relationship. In case of substitute product, the relation between demand and price will be direct relationship or else positive relationship. I hope you are very clear. Don't be confused with this concept, complementary as well as substitute. In case of complementary, there is a indirect relationship in between price and demand. In case of substitute, there is a direct relation between price and demand. In this manner, the price of other products will be influence the demand of other product. After that, the third one will be taste of the consumer. See, sometimes the taste and preference of the consumer also influences the demand of a product. Example, you can take that in a population, more teenage people are there, means they are preferred to purchase always casual shirts as well as jean pants. So in that manner, the demand of a one product also will be influenced by the taste and preference of a consumer also. And after that, income of the consumer. There is a direct relationship. When income will be increases, demand also will be increases. Why? Because means whenever I am getting more income, I am able to spend more money on the product. That is the reason why when income will be increases, demand also will be increases. So finally, other factors means we can say that population, geographical area and all the factors will be comes under consideration. Okay, these are the major factors influencing the demand of a one particular product. So you remember here, price of a product, price of a related product, taste of the consumer, income of the consumer and other factors. How many products which are related here? Two. One will be complementary product, the second one is substitute product. Okay, so far we discussed demand, what is demand, and after that what are the major factors influencing demand. Now let us move on to the next concept. What is demand curve? What is demand curve? What is demand curve? So it is a graphical representation. Demand curve is a graphical representation. Graphical representation of various quantity of commodities. Demand curve is a graphical representation of various quantity of commodities that consumer willing to pay at different price of a same product. See now, demand curve is a graphical representation of various quantity of commodities that consumer is willing to pay at different price levels. Product is same, but various quantity of commodities that consumer is willing to pay at different price levels. That is known as a demand curve. So let us analyze, let us understand this definition of the demand curve with some diagram as well as one table. So now here we can say that we are considering one side price, and after that here quantity of demand. One side price and another side will be quantity of demand. So when the price of the product is 10, price of the product will be 10, quantity will be 40, and price of a product will be 20, quantity will be 30. Price of a product will be 30, here quantity will be 20. Price of a product will be 40, quantity will be 10. So now here as per our definition, the various quantity of commodities, here various quantity of commodities that consumer is willing to pay at different price levels. Just observe these values once. Price 10, 20, 30, 40. Quantity demand 40, 30, 20, 10. Yes, what you are observing here, when price will be increases, the demand will be decreases. That is the concept is known as law of demand. What is that? Law of demand. Very important topic, this one, law of demand. So what is law of demand? Other things remain constant. Other things remain constant. When price increases, demand decreases. When price increases, demand decreases. Similarly, when price decreases, demand will be increases. This is the concept is known as the law of demand. So what is the law of demand means? You must write answer. Other things remain constant. When price is increases, demand will be decreases. In the same manner, price is decreasing, the demand will be increasing. See here, this is known as the law of demand. The same thing you are observing in here, in this table. Price will be keep on increasing from 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40. But here what happened? Quantity demand will be decreases, right? 40 to 30, 30 to 20, and 20 to 10. So now same information let us find out through the graphical representation. On the x-axis we are taking quantity of demand, quantity demand. On the y-axis we are considering price. Here we are taking 10, 20, 30, 40. In the same manner, here also we are taking the same numerical values 10, 20, 30, 40. Now, you just take when price is 10, demand will be 40. So price will be 10, demand will be how much here? Demand is 40. So now, when price is 20, what about demand? 30. Price will be 20, demand will be 30. In the same manner, when price is 30, demand will be 20. Price is 30, demand will be 20. Now, when the price is 40, demand will be 10. Price is 40, that demand will be 10. So now this is the point, right? Now just to merge all the points together here, this is known as demand curve. This is known as DD is a demand curve. DD is a demand curve. See here, you are observing the negative slope of a demand curve. The demand curve always will be downward sloping. That will be indicating there is a negative relationship in between price and demand. There is a negative relation. There is a negative relationship between price and demand. There is a negative relationship in between the price and demand. Due to that reason only, here the demand curve will be negative slope. You can observe, whenever the price will be decreases, when the price will be less, the consumer want to buy more. When the price is more, the consumer want to buy less. So due to that reason only, the demand curve will be negative slope from the left to right. Demand curve will be downward sloping from the left to right. The one and only reason here, consumer always is willing to buy more products when price will be less. When the price will be increased, is willing to buy only few products. So in this manner, the demand curve will be derived by using the theory cardinal utility analysis. What is the theory? Cardinal utility analysis. So now you must remember the theory here, that is law of demand, which is nothing but other things remain constant. When the price will be increases, demand will be decreases. When the price will be decreases, the demand will be increases. That concept is known as the law of demand. Same thing we are observing in between price as well as demand. Price and demand. So now, why the demand curve will be negative slope? Why demand curve is downward slope? So the reason why the demand curve will be in a negatives or downward sloping means the reason and explanation is depending upon the theory diminishing marginal utility. Why the demand curve will be downward slope? That explanation will be rest on explanation. This explanation depends on law of diminishing marginal utility. The reason why the demand curve will be negative or downward sloping means that explanation is depending upon the theory law of diminishing marginal utility. Why? What is the reason? Always a consumer, he don't want to spend more money on additional commodity. Very, very important, remember. Always a consumer, he don't want to spend much money on additional product, additional unit of commodity. Example, when price is 40, quantity demand is 5. Quantity demand is 5. So now when the price of a product is 40 rupees, he will purchase only 5 units of commodities. 5 units of commodities. So next, if he want to purchase 6th unit of commodity, means the price must be below than the 40. I hope you are clear. So when the price of a commodity is 40, the quantity demand is 5. So if the consumer want to purchase a sixth product means here the price must be below 40. Then only the consumer is willing to pay one more additional unit of commodity. Due to this reason only, the demand curve will be in a downward sloping. So if the question may ask why the demand curve will be in a downward sloping, means you have to write answer. The explanation is depending upon law of diminishing marginal utility. So when the price of a product is 40, you can write always a consumer he is not willing to purchase sixth commodity with more price. He don't want to spend more money on additional unit. Here the explanation, when the price of a product is 40, he will purchase quantity demand is 5. So if he want to purchase 60 unit of product, means the price must be below than the 40, then only he will purchase. Due to this reason, the demand curve is a negative slope in nature. So this is the reason why the demand curve will be downward slope. So in this video, so far we discussed how the demand curve is derived in case of single commodity, which is nothing but that is related to law of diminishing marginal utility. So how we dealt that concept by using cardinal utility analysis. In that we discussed what is demand, what are the factors influencing demand, and after that what is the demand curve and how the demand curve is derived. It is all about today class. So we will meet again in the next class to discuss some more important concepts in the second chapter, theory of consumer behavior. Thank you. Have a nice day.